Stanford researchers did a study on students giving 1-minute presentations about crime statistics. On average, each student used 2.5 statistics. Only 1 in 10 included a story. 10 minutes later, they tested everyone. 5% remembered a statistic, 63% remembered the stories. Now, think about the last pitch, presentation, or important conversation you had. What percentage was data? What percentage was story? And how much of what you said do you think they actually remembered? Today, I'm going to show you a structure that changes this. March 2013, a grey industrial unit on the outskirts of Manchester. I'm delivering customer service sessions for one of Britain's biggest supermarket chains. 20 delivery drivers, arms crossed, faces like stone. These are men and women who've been hauling shopping up tower blocks since 5 in the morning. 20 minutes in, a man in the back row, built like a gladiator, slams his workbook on the table. He stands up, the room goes silent. "You think you can come in here spouting this stuff about customer service? You don't know what it's like." He takes a step towards me. "We never get recognised for anything, just criticised for doing it wrong." His fists are clenched. "But we're great with customers. I saved someone's life last year. That's customer service." I raised my energy to match his. What did you just say? You saved someone's life? Well, that's a story we need to hear. For 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours, he just stared at me. Then something shifted. "It was last June," he began. "I pulled up to Mrs. Patterson's house. She's a nice old lady, always asks about my kids. I rang the doorbell and heard a sound. At first I thought it was crying, and I realised someone was gasping, choking for air. I looked through the letterbox and she was collapsed in the hallway. She was grey, clutching her chest. So I kicked the door in. She was having a massive heart attack. Stopped breathing right in front of me. I'm ex-forces medical corps, so I started CPR, called 999, kept it going for 8 minutes until the ambulance arrived." His voice cracked. "She lived. She's still on my route. She still asks about my kids. And you know what? I got a written warning that week for the damaged door and for running 2 hours late." The silence in that room wasn't just quiet. It was 20 people understanding, maybe for the first time, what was broken about the system they worked in. That story changed everything. That store went from bottom of the regional rankings to top 10 in the country. Not because I gave them some information, but because a story made them feel what needed to change. Here's why that worked. When information arrives, your brain's threat detection system scans it first. Is it dangerous? Is it boring? Is this complicated? If the answer to any of those is yes, your message gets filtered out before deeper processing even begins. But when your content creates emotional engagement, when it tells stories, uses metaphors, connects to what people genuinely care about, it slips past the filters and something called neurocoupling happens. Your audience's brain literally synchronizes with yours as they experience your story. You're not just transferring information, you're creating a shared experience. I call it the message mountain. Most people build their communication up from the ground, context, background, evidence, and eventually, if the audience is still with them, the point. The message mountain flips this. You start at the summit and you guide people down. The summit, your hook. Something that makes someone lean in within 10 seconds. A provocative question, a startling statistic, a brief personal story, an unexpected observation. Not your company history, not your credentials, not "thanks for having me." Something that creates immediate curiosity. The peak is your headline message. One sentence. If they remember nothing else from this, what they do remember is this. Clear, compelling, repeatable. Something they could say to a colleague as they walked out of the door. Then, 3 paths down, your key messages. 3, not 5, not 8, 3. Because 3 is simple enough to remember. creates a natural rhythm and allows comprehensive coverage without overwhelming people. Each path needs its own story, its own emotional proof. And then there's the valley, your call to action. Simple, specific, one thing. Not three things, one thing. The one thing you want them to do when they leave the room, and you align it to your headline message. Here's the principle that changes everything about this structure. In most pitches and presentations, the communicator casts themselves as the hero. Here's our story, here's our expertise, here's what we have achieved. The audience nods politely and feels nothing. The most effective communicators understand something different. The hero is always the person you're talking to. Their problem is the inciting incident. Your work together is the journey. Their transformed future is the resolution. You're not the hero, you're Gandalf, the guide, the framework, the system that helps the hero win. When you build your content this way, starting with their world, their pain, their version of success, something changes, something shifts. They don't just hear you, they see themselves in your content. And that's when people act. Data is proof, but story is experience. And people don't act on proof, they act on experience. The message mountain gives you a repeatable structure for every pitch, presentation, and important conversation. If you want to build content that actually moves people, not just informs them, then let's have a conversation about it. No pitch, no obligation. There is a link in the description. Next week, the final letter, T, and the one that makes everything else work. And T is for take a risk. I'll see you then.